Ani Najitchgayan. Bonjour. Thanks for coming out. The primary is June 9th, and I wanted to do this set of interviews because I wasn't really sure who to vote for myself. And so I thought, well, ask these people and then share it out there on the sacred Facebook and on Niji Radio so that, at least there's conversations out there, right? So I'm asking you all the same questions, but hey, Ken, thanks for coming out and being here.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, and it's a good idea to get the people out there, make them aware of what people are thinking and what they want to do if elected, and yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, right before primary, and
I wish I started a little earlier, but I've been planting and I felt a little guilty. I was kind of hoping someone else would, but anyway, so how would you introduce yourself to me?
I'd say Bonjour Anishinaabe Ekwe, Indigenous Cause, and Fox, Awa Bobby Bunny Tug, Makwa, Duden. And Fox, I'm a candidate for Whiter Chairman. I live in Monoman, and I appreciate the support in the upcoming primary on June 9th.
So I give you the high five, bear paw, high five, virtual, my fellow bear clan.
There you go. Yep, there you go.
Yeah. So, hey, tell me a few things that you're proud of doing recently. Like you could take like the last 5 years. Like what's some things that you're really proud of? Doesn't need to be tribal. What are you proud of? Not an official position even. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think my previous position as executive director, the most enjoyment, the good feeling I got was helping our tribal members, with their issues, their concerns. They might have some kind of barriers for employment or something like that, but being able to assist them and help them, to get over those barriers and to make things better for them. And, supporting our youth, I was part of the previous administration. We bought the Senex building here in Monoman. We wanted to renovate it and turn it into a Boys and Girls Club. And we got the additions in Rice Lake. We added a Boys and Girls Club there, more space because they were just confined to pretty much the gym in a smaller area. So we actually added a whole office space for them right off the gym. And, doing the native wash, the roof and stuff like that, we've added that in there. And then we did the Pine Point, addition, remodel out there too. And I guess, youth has always been my big thing, and seeing them, succeed and graduating and going places and participating in events and stuff like that, that's always an enjoyment to see and to be a part of, and my son, he's very active in basketball, and so, I mean, it's good to see the kids out there and then see them interact with other youth from different reservations, different communities, different places, seeing different things. And I know my son traveled with a team from here down to Chicago. They went to a tournament down there.
Wow.
And pictures and stuff like that. So, I mean, that was a good feeling to see, that our youth are out there and they're experiencing things. And, they went to the United Center. They got to see the Michael Jordan statue, stuff like that, the Sears Tower. And I mean, giving our youth that opportunity is it feels good inside to know that, that they get to see that and participate and stuff like that. I mean, to us, we see that stuff and it's, we kind of take it for granted, but I mean, to them, it's like, wow, exciting, and, it's new to them.
So you're proud of being able to do a lot of good work with youth too, huh? I mean, those buildings.
Yeah. Yep.
So now I got a couple other questions. So if elected, give me 4 things that you want to do, like goals that you would have. And I had to pick 4 because everybody always says 3, but it's like the Anishinaabe should have 4. So you get 4, you get a bonus.
There you go. We got to reestablish our programs and improve our programs to serve our members, our elders, and our youth. We gotta build and expand and see what we can do, see what more we can do to expand these issues for, these programs and services to our members on and off the reservation. I mean, just to see what we can do to better serve them. Another thing would be, informing them, communicating with them, involving them in decisions that will directly affect them. we need to let them, we need to let them voice their concerns, their issues, whatever they have with, what's going on, and involving them and communicating with them. And I've been campaigning on establishing an elder department. We should have an elder department and workers in each community on the reservation, because who knows the elders more than the community people? Have workers that can assist them, with their medication, with appointments, transportation, paying bills if they need it, or just general things. If they need their yard mowed, if they need it plowed, people can make calls for them and get them out there and get them the services or the help that they need. And that was one of the big things that I've been campaigning on, is elder department. We always include our youth and our elders in every campaign. I mean, it's a common theme. We hear it not only on this reservation, but every other reservation that have elections too. I mean, it's just a common theme. But I'd say let's step up to the plate and let's get a elder department created and really serve our elders, help them, assist them in any way that we can. And then another one is promoting and advancing our tribal members, and at the RBC and at the casino. We always hear we need to advance our tribal members. We have a lot of tribal members. If you give them the opportunity, they're going to succeed. They're going to feel proud. They're going to feel good about the job and the promotion, and they're going to do it, and they're going to put 100% effort in it. So I've always been about promoting and at the casino and the RBC. That's a big thing for our tribal members.
Is that like training and all too?
Training, I talked about developing a training system. We can train them, and we can teach them. We can teach them trades. At the trade school, at the college. Not everybody wants to work behind a desk. We got people that want to do manual, hands-on labor. I mean, we got opportunities to.
Yeah, I don't like being behind a desk myself too much. It's more fun being out getting dirty.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that that enjoy it. Not everybody.
I just came out of the garden. It's a nice, pretty warm day though. All right, so 4 things. Those are some good. Those are good. Okay, so here's the next question, which is a hard one. I mean, being a leader in the time of COVID is pretty challenging. What would you do for your community if you were in charge now, or if elected, we're still probably be in this time. So, what kind of ideas do you have for, or how's it going? It's some hard times, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a new thing. It's a new epidemic, and just kind of creeped up on us and took us by storm. And I mean, everything was being shut down. We're getting back to that opening and stuff. But I mean, like I said before, we need to reassure our members. We need to communicate with them. We need to inform them. I know there's a lot that are sitting in limbo. Do we have a job? We don't know if we have a job to go back to. There's nothing being communicated to us as far as jobs and stuff like that. And I guess that's the biggest thing, is communication with our members and our employees, and let them know that, hey, reassure them, yes, we're working on a plan to get you back to work, or, and we recently got the CARES Act money, $20.6 million, that should be used, to assist our members in any way that they might need, or take care of them and make sure that they get through this stuff. They got the essentials, the supplies, their bills are paid and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of the thing that I would do with it, and
the
direction I would take.
Yeah, I mean, these are challenging. Okay, so give me some short-term goals if elected and some longer-term goals. So like right away, stuff you want to try to work on, and then, if you're in for 4 years, what are you going to try to accomplish, short and longer term?
Short term, we'd go in and we'd find out, where we sit financially. That's the biggest thing. Find out where we sit financially and let our members know, and inform them, communicate with them. And, of course, with any new administration, you go in, you read resolutions and meeting minutes to see where you're at and what has changed or what has been cut, and try to see what we can do to rebuild and reestablish programs to serve our members, And I always say communication and informing our members is key, that'll eliminate the rumor mill and things that are going on, because people don't know, then they just hear something and they run with it. And I mean, information is key, and communicating is key. So, I mean, we need to,
And what's
reassure our
your,
members that, hey, huh?
those are your short-term goals, improving communication
Yeah,
a lot? And then, so what's your
yeah, short
long-term?
term. And well, like I stated before, we need to look at establish, as I proposed, a propane company. We have a lot of people that
Yeah.
members that use propane, and we have programs and services that pay for that. I mean, we could regenerate our dollar, keep it on a reservation, employ people. I've always said that we got a great big propane tank sitting behind a casino that's obsolete now because they use natural gas. So, I mean, we wouldn't have to buy a great big propane tank for storage. We could just use the existing and
Wow, I didn't
it,
know that. That's quite an asset to have. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it would just take a couple of trucks, and a lot of our people use propane, and we could buy it cheap in the summertime, and we could regenerate that energy assistance dollar, that tribal dollar through constituents that we support our program or our people with, and regenerating the money, to come back and then like I've always said, hemp is a big thing too nowadays. We got plenty of land base, that's just sitting there idle. I mean, we could turn hemp processing and stuff like that if we could set up a facility to process it where our members could grow it. It would be like another ricing or leaching or, another thing that they could do to earn money, and we could produce hemp. We could, get the oils out of it. And I mean, there was different things that we were looking into.
That's so great. Okay, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that in a minute, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's the next question. What do you think about legalization of hemp and cannabis? And so you and I know that there's the hemp, which is what's legal, the Farm Bill, right? And so that stuff can't get you high, really not, 0.3%, right? And then there's cannabis, and some tribes have legalized cannabis. Some are looking at medical. I don't know what happened at Red Lake. Did they pass a medical in the referendum?
Yeah, they passed it. Red Lake passed it. I think it was last week. They actually passed it by a pretty unanimous number. It was like 1,600 to 400 against. And
oh, really? For medical, right? Yeah, I mean, our tribe, could, I mean, so there's a lot of opportunities out there. I don't want to put it. So what's your, what are you thinking on it,
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of people who can benefit from the medical side of it. It works for people, the pain, and it takes pain away, and it's a good alternative to the Western medicine that they prescribed or whatever. And I mean, I would like to do the same thing Red Lake did. Put it out to a referendum for our people. If we want to do it, then let's put it out and let our people make that decision like Red Lake did. And if we can benefit from it, and people can use it and benefit, and then hey, let's go for it. I'm all for it.
And so
with the hemp, the hemp is a good thing to being used in so many, materials and concrete and different things that can be used for the oils and stuff like that. So it's like, let's jump into this and move forward with it. And, let's just talk about it. Let's actually.
They call it the new green revolution. It's so significant how the impact is so large, But okay, well, that's I mean, so much you could do. Okay, so you already talked quite a bit about this. The youth are half our population. How are you going to invest in the youth? You already talked some about it. You got anything to add? I mean, you sound like that's one of your strong suits, seems like, is the youth, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, provide opportunities for them to job shadow, to see different types of jobs they might want to do, whether it's in, tribal roads or, in administration, or, give them an opportunity to job shadow somebody and give them an opportunity to see, what they would want to pursue, or how they would, start with job shadowing. Let's do that. And then, I see a lot of them want, sports leagues and traveling, and we see them raising money for travel and stuff like that, which is good. But as an RBC, we should also be, encouraging them by, while you raise $700, we're going to give you double. We're going to give you $1,400. You got $2,100 to participate in tournaments and stuff like that, and travel and building and updating our Boys and Girls Clubs. I mean, Callaway it's been renovated, but it's a pretty rundown building.
Needs love.
Needs
attention.
Needs some love. And I mean, you know, Monoman, same over here. They're using the old college on Main Street, and that thing is just, you know, it's terrible. And
Right.
that's why we purchased the Senate building, you know. And,
Well, I want to put in a plug for youth coming to work in gardens.
oh yeah, gardening.
Yeah, I
And,
mean,
you know, like
because
I said,
there's a
that's
lot of
where the
people
job
this year
traveling.
gardening, lots more than ever, you know, and someone needs to hoe. Someone needs,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and not only that, but I mean, you know, you could. I seen one of the kids mowing lawn at the Niji radio station. There, you know, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
hey, let's just, you know, what happened to the
There's a
old
lot of things to
summer
do.
youth?
Hey, okay, so
Yeah.
here's a tough question. There's some tough questions in here. I'm rolling into them. Okay, what would you do about
Okay.
enrollment? Do you think we should follow Red Lake's example and hit the reset button on blood quantum? Should we go to descendancy? Should we add all our Indian blood together? Native blood? Should we eliminate blood quantum? Should we go to citizenship? It's like one of the hardest questions for our tribe. What do
It
you
is.
think?
Well, you know, I said, you know, let's, before we do anything, you know, we need, if we're gonna enroll people, we need to fix it at the Fed. That's the top, because they only recognize border bloods, you know. And, you know, my thought would be to start with recognizing other blood, you know, MCT, I mean, Red Lake and Shakopee, and, you know, there's a lot of people that have different lineage from different tribes, but we don't recognize it. We only recognize, you know, the MCT. And I mean, you know, that would increase our enrollment by you know, how many thousands, and if we recognize other blood, you know, start with Minnesota and then expand out. You know, Wisconsin, there's a lot of Ojibwe, Anishinaabe in Wisconsin, and, you know, Canada's kind of tough because they use the they use the 1 and 2, you know, one parent enrolled, two parents enrolled. They use that. They don't use the percentages
Well,
like we do.
they
So
have
that would be kind of
status and
tough.
non-status, treaty and non-treaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
I have two enrolled Canadian kids. But
Yeah, right on. There you go.
and they're more native than me. You know what I'm saying? But they're all Canadian.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I mean, then trying to enroll them here is going to be difficult because of the way they do their enrollment stuff.
They just hang out here, but they're, you know. But anyway, not about me. Okay, so what you're saying, complex, maybe including all the native blood. You know,
start with our Minnesota tribe, like Red Lake. You know, there's a lot of members on White Earth who have parents or things that are enrolled in
a lot of Red Lakers on White Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you know, let's start with the like I said, the local tribes, the Mdewakanton, you know, the Wisconsin tribes, North Dakota tribes, and let's start there and then see how that goes. And I mean, it's a part of a constitutional reform right now too. You know, we're under the constitutional reform for. I mean, that's going to be, you know, put different ideas out there for people to decide, and let them decide what way they want to go. You know, how do they want to go? Do they want to, you know, enroll as a recognized other blood? Do they want to citizenship? Do they want to do, you know, like you mentioned, the 4 different things that they have a choice? Give them a choice. Let our members decide. You know.
So, like, are you thinking like a referendum then, maybe?
Yep, add it to a referendum. You know, on one of the election cycles. You know, throw it on the bottom of the ballot and let people decide once this constitutional reform is in place. But you know, that's a slow process too, because there's so many different ideas and so many different ways that people want to reform it. And I mean, it's a slow process, but it's a good process. You know, that's what we need. You know, we've talked about it for years and years and years, and finally we got the process rolling. So hopefully it works out, and you know, the people have their input and their say, and they're happy with what comes to the table, and they approve it. You know,
yeah, it's complicated. Okay, here's another one. Okay, the salaries paid to white tribal officials are listed below, and the comparison or the disparity between what workers get and tribal officials is pretty significant. Okay, chairman, $181,000 or $88 an hour, basically. I believe that's more than Governor Walz gets. Secretary Treasurer, $146,000 or $71 an hour. District reps, $138,000 to $149,000. the average casino worker is making $9.64 an hour, and the average RBC worker at $17 an hour. So that's a pretty big split. And people ask me to ask that question, so here I am. It's not an easy one. What do you think of that?
No, it's not an easy one. I mean, we should do like a wage study, with other tribes, other tribal leaders in Minnesota. If we have to expand out farther to the Dakotas, we can never compare with Shakopee what they get paid. It's just let's address it and compare it to other wages from other tribal leaders in Minnesota, MCT, and see what they're making, and address it there and start there and see where it goes. And as far as the wages for the casino, that's barely minimum wage.
I think
$15 an hour is pretty much what minimum wage is.
Right. They say there's a term they use now called living wage, which is kind of like you're not miserable. You know what I'm saying? There's minimum. You guys are all in a challenging position. I'm just, it's a question. So looking at that, sounds like you want to both look at kind of like what is going on with other tribes, and then look at what people are paid. That's what I got. Okay. So what's your position on the land transfer of the MCT tribal land? How do you think that, that's a big subject of contention when I've been to the TEC meetings, right?
Yeah, that's kind of where it's at. And it just kind of was sprung on us. We weren't given any input. It's like, here's what we're doing. We sent the bill into Congress already. And it's like, we never had any input on it.
Right.
Give our members input and let's see what it's more of an individual, the tribes kind of working for their tribes, not for the MCT.
Right.
You've got different tribes that are for it and some that oppose it. And it's like, we need to have member input on it. It was just done and behind the scenes and nobody had any input, and that's the frustrating part about it. We should have our members get the input on it and have them, decide if we need to move forward with it or not 12 people sitting up there and representing 48,000 people.
Yeah, it seems really complicated because I think Net Lake, which is really the proponent of it, the majority of their land is held by MCT, so every tree cut doesn't benefit them, it benefits MCT. So, there's every tribe has a different interest in it, right? And then there's legal, this is complex, but you're saying a referendum, that's what you're saying is a referendum on it?
Look at what League Lake did. They removed everybody that on lake shores over there that was lake member. It's like, now you're stepping into some muddy waters here, because we're still all MCT members. So that's a touchy issue. It's a complicated one, and we need to have our members say in it. We got 48,000 members in the MCT, so we should be able to decide too what direction that goes. And
you know what I'd do if I was you guys? I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I feel like we're fighting over crumbs, like little bit of land left. You know what I'm saying? Little bit of land left. And really, there's a lot of land. Like, look at the Boy Scouts. They're going bankrupt. They got big camps on our reservations. Have the Eagle Scouts do something right. You know what I mean? Or there's like places, there's a lot of public lands. Maybe the MCT could get land transferred back to it from other land holdings equal to the lands it would lose to the tribes. You know what I'm saying? But it seemed like we shouldn't be fighting over crumbs. We should get back more land. Anyway, I'm interviewing you. I'm not supposed to tell you my opinions here. But
you look at the Hudson versus Zinke ruling too. That's precedent for some of the constitutional amendments that have taken place. So that's going to be a touchy issue too. Once somebody actually challenges it, and there's a lot going on at the TEC level that needs to be addressed.
It's a complicated. Okay, so here's another one. This is getting easier, and then I still got about 7 questions. So hang in there, buddy. Okay.
Oh, I'm good.
Half our tribal membership is off reservation. I had no idea how many of our tribal members were in Duluth until I was like hanging out there. But my point is that how can we better serve those people? How can we better serve those people?
We can, we can expand our programs, establish our programs in these areas. I know we expanded to Minneapolis, and there's, I believe there's services going up to the Iron Range too. We purchased the old Legion property in Cass Lake for our Cass Lake members, to expand services up there. And then we purchased a Clifton Place office building down in Minneapolis, to centralize all our services into one area, because before they were running around, taking different buses and having to go here and then over to East Franklin, West Franklin, and then over to Lake Street. I mean, it was just our programs were all spread all over. So the main reason for that was to centralize everything into one. I mean, one-stop shop, and it's on a bus line, and people can access it, and our services need to be expanded to our members as well down in the city and Duluth. I mean, there's a lot in Duluth that I never knew either. In the different areas, Fargo Moorhead has a lot. So I mean, we can look at expanding these services and providing these services in those areas as well.
Yeah, I mean, we have tribal members everywhere. It seems like, but there are good ones. So thank you. Thanks for that. Okay, next question is, how are you going to preserve our culture? Like, what commitment do you have to preserving Ojibwe culture?
That was one of the big things that that I always pushed and concentrated on we started in our schools. We started in, our circle of life, our own tribal school. We start with working with our Indian education departments in the various schools in the area, the Monomans, the Wabbins, the Bagley, Park Rapids, Detroit Lakes. We expand, we push, we work with them and implement our language, our culture, and let's correct those books that they're being taught out of, Columbus stuff and things like that. We need to get the actual stories that our stories are, not the Columbus myth that everybody lives by, and discovering America and stuff like that. I mean, we need to get our curriculum, get a plan, get the curriculum, get our word out to these schools and have it taught. We got Indian education departments, we got funds for it. We should be pushing in our schools and starting young and working with our older adults, the ones that want to learn the language and stuff like that, provide language classes in the communities and community centers. I mean, you look at every community, pretty much have a community center that they utilize to teach language. I know I got a good buddy of mine that does that in Mille Lacs. He sets up in the community center, and people come in as they have time, and he goes through, gives them lesson plans and starts there. And it would be up to the individual person if they wanted to, how in depth they wanted to go, what they wanted to learn. I mean, and culture has always been a big thing. We need to implement that in our services that we provide and offer it, the different programs, the groups that we run, stuff like that. So I'm always for culture and language.
Can I ask you kind of another question on that? So our tribe has a lot of things that are not here. They're in museums, right? Mm-hmm. Or because we're kind of a bigger tribe, and we're hit pretty hard. And so, mm-hmm. I know that we have a NAGPRA program. And so do you support like strengthening that program and looking at something like museum, or you know what I'm saying? Because we have things that come back that would be nice for people to pray with, or to sit with. You know what I mean? Yep,
I know it. I know we got
I got to see some of those.
We got one of the scrolls. We got one of the scrolls back from out east. And that was a big thing. I got to see that, and that was awesome to see that it finally came home. And that's that could be good to expand further and to bring more of our stuff home and start our museum down, somewhere where I know that the scroll had to be in a climate controlled environment.
Yeah, it has to be all super, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was but no, I'm all for bringing our stuff home and why do we have to go somewhere to see our stuff? Why not see it on our own reservation?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, when you were talking about it, because it's okay, so, here's another one. So Native people face challenges in voting. So I'm doing this because I want our tribal members to know that on June 9th, we have an election, right? And a lot of people don't know that. And then, so I want tribal members to vote in tribal elections, but tribal members last year or last election where it was harder to vote in a state or federal election, right? You had to drive to Detroit Lakes. People couldn't vote in places where you can vote for in a tribal polling. You know what I'm saying? Tribal polls were not open for federal and state elections. Now, the tribe was looking at writing a letter. I don't know if they ever did, to designate polling places here. But what would you do, to help our people get out the vote, because it matters, right?
Yeah. Like working with the states and the feds to set up polling places on the reservations and provide that access and make sure that they recognize our tribal IDs. That's a big thing. Make sure that we provide a way for our members to get tribal IDs and make sure that they have that ID to go and it's recognized at the tribal or the federal and the state level. That hey, this is our tribal ID and it's as good as the state or any kind of ID that's around and work with the feds and the state to try and why can't we use the different polling places around here? They use the Monoman Church and stuff like that. Why can't we use townships and precincts and have them around on a reservation so people can access them the same way we do with the tribal elections?
Right. I mean, I've been asking this because if you're elected, whoever's elected, this is the issue this year, and so it's not like, let me think about it for 2020. 2020 is a pretty important election for a lot of people, right?
That's coming up in November. Yes, it is. I mean,
yeah, we want to make sure people vote, right? Okay, here's the next one.
Exactly.
Okay, now this, of course, is the question I have to ask you, which what's your knowledge of environmental issues on this reservation? What are environmental concerns you have on the reservation? I'm going to ask you about Enbridge next, so you don't have to say that now. But what about on reservation? What kind of concerns do you have?
We have a staff that a tribal staff that works with the environmental stuff and. But I mean, clean air, clean water. We got pesticides from the farmers getting into our water supply and our lakes and our rivers. We got invasive species. People don't clean their boats or their trailers when they come from Minneapolis or whatever and fish on our lakes. And the water quality in Pine Point is bad. I know that because was in the process of getting a whole new water system at Pine Point before the previous. Water and sewer director was let go, but I mean, it was in the works. They were next in line to get a new water system out Pine Point and food sovereignty. We have all this land, we have all this land base that we can use to grow our own foods and medicines and provide for our people. Good healthy food and just inspecting. Even inspecting our the gas stations, make sure that the underground tanks and the storage tanks for gas and diesel and stuff like that are not leaking, and, to ensure that they're not running into our water system or they're not in I know we had one out in the Rice Lake area, that was close to the lake. We were inspecting on that, and we have to start enforcing and fining and making sure that they're upkept and, because what do we have left? We got the water. Once that's done, what are we going to do? A big thing nowadays is clean air, clean water, and land. That's what we have, and that is always close to us, sacred to us, and we need to protect it.
Thank you. That's good. Okay, here you go. What do you think an energy future looks like for our tribe? Now, you did talk about that we should own a propane company, and most of these tribal houses do operate on propane. What else? Like, what's the energy future look like for our tribe?
I'd like to get into the wind energy, the solar energy, if we can get the natural gas, these are all going to save our people money. They're going to be more efficient. They're going to, it's going to be less expensive for our members to maintain their electric and their, all, we got a wind tower down in Whitehurst, one that generates energy for the tribal center. We got one out in Nadawash. There's one up in Ojibwe there. And why can't we expand these out into our communities where we have housing, houses and stuff like that, and tie them into, the wind energy or solar panels? We see a lot of solar farms going up now, and I mean, you drive down south and it's nothing but solar farms, and I mean, they're huge. They're big, huge solar farms. We need to look into and invest and look into a way of providing those services for our members too.
Hey, thanks, Ken. All right. Now, what's your position on Enbridge? What should Enbridge do? This is year 7 of our tribe opposing Enbridge. 7 years. We've opposed them at the Public Utilities Commission and in the courts. And now Enbridge is cutting oil production, the amount of oil that they're moving through the pipes by 400,000 barrels a day. What should Enbridge do? What should Enbridge do after 50 years in our territory?
I've always been opposed to Enbridge. That we should never sell our people's rights or our land for money. We need to protect our wild rice and our water. We met with one of the Enbridge representatives where, he told us in a meeting, name your price, make them pay. And we told him right out, we would never, ever sell our people's rights. We would never, ever jeopardize our wild rice or our water for money. And I mean, that's the stance that I take on it. And I mean, we should never let them in our boundaries.
Thanks, Ken. Okay. All right. Now we're getting in on the last couple here. So,
okay.
How would you improve relations with state and county agencies? Can you lean forward a little bit? It looks like the hand of God is touching your chin. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You look cool and all, but it was kind of distracting. So you look at Mille Lacs and, you see what's going on with Mille Lacs County and the tribe, and Mille Lacs County is like trying to act like the tribe's not there, and it's kind of a big mess. Yep. Ellison had to step in. You saw that, but up here, I don't know. So how would you improve relations, or what do you see in relations between the state and county and our tribe?
We used to sit down with Mahnomen County once a month and just have a general meeting, and we had a couple of tribal members that sat on it, and they would speak to us, and they would be willing to work with us, but then get into their meetings and kind of take a different route then, and kind of opposite of what they told us they wanted to do. And, we would hear that stuff, and we need to work with them. We need to work together. As far as the state, we got a lieutenant governor who's from Whitehurst now, and a governor who's on board with, working with the tribes, and we got tribal liaisons in pretty much every agency in the state now, that's working. And so, I mean, this is our opportune time to get things that pass that, that we need and that we can do, and build our relationships, with the states and the counties, and working with, Beckers County, Mahnomen County, Clearwater County, Polk County. They all kind of border, or they're on a reservation. So, I mean, sitting down and sit down with them and, trying to work with them and see where they're coming from and we're coming from, and come to a middle ground. And, hey, if they don't like their ideas, then, we'll go from there. But I mean, at least put a hand out and say, hey, we're willing to work with you. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it?
Sometimes all you can do is try, but the more,
that's exactly what it is.
Keep at it, and then just keep doing it. Doing what we do, huh?
Yep. Just keep on. We're going to keep on keeping on whatever we do.
Yeah. And okay, so here's your last question, and then you can add like a bonus question or whatever if you like. So, how would you protect our treaty rights in the 55? I actually have a bonus question, but how would you protect our treaty rights in the 55?
We got the 55 committee that that was working, and that was working diligently to uphold our rights and exercise our rights in Bemidji and Mille Lacs or Brainerd and Baxter. And we need to continue to support that 1855 Treaty Committee, and they're doing wonderful work, and they're exercising our hunting and fishing and gathering rights in these areas, and they're getting court cases out of them, and that's our right. That's under the 1855 treaty area, and we have the right to hunt, fish, gather in those areas, and we continue to push and enforce these treaties, and if we have to, like we did before with the hunting and fishing in Bemidji and Brainerd and Baxter, we get them to the courts and we win it that way too. But it shouldn't be that. It's just we recognize that, hey, that's our 1855. It's under the treaty. It was signed, and
thank you.
Do that. And
thank you. Okay, I got one more question, which I didn't get to ask everybody, but I was kind of wondering. There's a lot of controversy around ICW.
Uh-huh.
And I don't even know that much. I just know that there's a lot, and I don't know if you have any thoughts just to share on that. I thought I would ask.
ICWA, I mean, it's, what I like to do is kind of restructure it and revamp and make it more family friendly, keep our families together, invest in our families, and you got the intimidation factor of ICWA coming to take your kids and stuff like that. We should be calling it, like a family investment services, or invest in there and do what we have to keep our families together,
right?
And work to not be so. I mean, you hear this a lot. You hear a lot of horror stories, and stuff like that. And it shouldn't be like that for our people. We should be investing in our families and trying to keep them together and build whatever it takes. If it's follow-up care, aftercare, whatever we need to do, to keep our families together.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I didn't ask other people that, but I've been just thinking about it as people have talked to me. So just thanks for letting me throw that in. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before I say thanks so much for spending this time with me, and I'm do my best to get the word out?
Oh no, just our tribe is about our people, and if it weren't for the memberships, we wouldn't have elected officials. That's the job of the elected officials, is to represent our people and listen to them and hear their concerns and try to address the problems and barriers that they face, and make life better for our members. Still there?
Yes, I am.
Call in.
I know.
But yeah, I mean,
that's trying to call in on my friend's computer. Ken, thanks so much for your time, and we're going to do our best to get this out in the next couple of days. And people, when you see this, you go vote. June 9th is our election day. Get out, get yourselves out, participate. Be Shanab.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much.